So let's cover Mailchimp a little more in a little more thoroughly, let's say. So we've already opened up the account. We set that up, and we most likely uploaded the email list if we had an email list. And I'll show you what that looks like too, just so you get an idea there. Remember that the email list that you upload, all the emails that you have, should have been already opted in to your email marketing programs. That's important. So make sure that they're coming from a subscribed list already. Now, if you haven't been getting what we call double opt-in email permissions, where you're getting them to say, yes, send me an email, and then confirming their email address, and they're opting in twice, really. That's why we call it the double opt-in piece. If you're not getting that, when you upload a list, Mailchimp will give you a couple of ways to upload it. And generally speaking, they want you to make sure you have a subscribed list, because, by law, you need to make sure you're avoiding all those unsubscribed and you're not spamming someone, right? So that list has to be yours. You have to be able to own it. So when you upload that list, you need to qualify that for Mailchimp. So once you upload the list, then you could build a campaign. So I'm in actually an account right now. This is a live opened account. It actually was opened a couple weeks back for a company that I'm working with now. And you can see that we've sent out some emails already. And this is on the dashboard. By clicking on the Mailchimp icon here, you get to their dashboard. And on their dashboard, you see they have a hot feed here about automation, which if you haven't started that already, you can click that and get an automated email set up. But then as you scroll down, you have all the activity. This is sort of where you would have your campaigns. This is your audience breakdown. And then it gives you some stats as well of what's happening. Underneath that campaign is telling you how many have subscribed from the list. And then there's a campaign a little further down here that happened the week before. And you can see, again, it'll give you some stats. We're going to go into this campaign and just look at that a little further. So there was a couple campaigns that were set up. This account is relatively new. And just to give you some background history here, it's a business that's been in business for several years. They had a website, and of course they were collecting emails, but they weren't nurturing or managing that email list. And I'm actually working with that now. So you'll see unsubscribes here, which are generally okay to have, right? Because you want to clean the list on a regular basis. But it all depends on how long they've been with you in terms of a customer, their lifespan, right? That customer lifetime value that we talked about. So that's sort of the dashboard that you have. And then as I scroll down the rest of the left-hand side, this is where you can create new campaigns. We'll come back to that in just a minute. This is your audience. This is the actual email list that you have. Here are the campaigns that you run. This is sort of your automations that you set up. This account, as you notice, has no automations set up at the moment. And an automation is just an automatic response email that will get you through a series of things, and it gets initiated, gets triggered when something happens, right? And then, of course, you have, you could build a website. Again, Mailchimp is great at email marketing. You know, they're not great with websites, but you can build that if you wanted to. You also have a content studio there, and then there's an integration. And when you go to the create page, you can also do a landing page and things of that nature. So let me take you to the campaign just to take a look at what a campaign looks like. I'll take you to the campaign page. So in this particular case, we set up the audiences already. So we have the list already set up. And then we take the audience and we create some campaigns. So you see a couple of campaigns here. This was sent recently on the 8th at 426 to 747 recipients. That's what's on the list. You see that the open rate here was 140, which is a percentage of nearly 20%, and a click-through ratio of 1.6%. And that's sort of the top line. Now, if you click View Report over here, you'll get more details, which we'll come to in just a moment. And by hitting the down arrow, you can go ahead and you could do different things here. Rename the campaign. You could duplicate the campaign, replicate it, and you can also share out the campaign to social media, which we've already done, which is this post here. This is actually the same campaign, but posted to social. And you can see here it published and reached 18 individuals and got 18 impressions. And that sort of will give you the report there as well. So I want to focus on the two recent campaigns, and let's just talk about that for a few moments. So let me continue, and just to show what the campaign page looks like, all your campaigns will be listed here, and you can see all the activity from the campaigns that you run. In fact, there is a landing page that was created here just so I can start collecting some new data and just to get them out there a little bit more. And the landing page you see was published. It had some visits and click-throughs already, and we actually picked up one subscriber from that landing page. And this is a free plan, right? This is not costing us anything on this particular plan. So that's one additional subscriber we got using their tool of a landing page. So that was pretty cool. So let's go to the top campaign again, and let's look at this last one that was sent recently and look at the report. Now, when I open up the report, you see here are the total recipients that the email was sent to. You see I can view the email, I could download it, I can print it, I can even share it. The email looks something like this. Give it a second while it loads. You can see it's just a pretty simple email promoting one particular product. This is a very focused email on one particular product. So that was the email that was sent out, and it was a special. So let's go back to the report. And we see here, we didn't track any orders here. That's fine. We didn't connect any dollars and cents. I was just trying to get this email list flushed out. Just sort of doing some test activity initiations just so I can see what's happening there. And as you scroll down, you see basically the comparison between what this email campaign did and what the industry or the peers, your peers have done, right? So here are some email campaign comparisons. So this campaign performance was strong at 19, nearly 20%. You can see the average is 13, so we've done better than that, which is great. That's healthy. We like to see that. And this is an average size of 2 to 2,000 names. But you can see the last campaign we did was better, so we were below that. Now I can click on the next metric, which is click rate. And you can see here our click rate was about average, just below where we needed to be, but below the last campaign we ran. And so that doesn't worry me too much because it was a different type of campaign and I expected different results. And then we can also see our unsubscribe rates, which is about 1%, which you can see it's very high compared to the industry average. But it's lower than the last email campaign we sent out. So remember when I spoke to you about the data and understanding things so you can get better. So if I go through this again and I see the open rate, I see 19, 20%. Okay, that's pretty good, right? It's lower, just a little bit lower than where we were the last campaign, but above the industry average. Now, I understand why it's a little lower than the last campaign. The last campaign was really, I split that campaign into different segments. This one, I put everyone together. So I had a collective list, right? The last email I sent out, I broke them down into segments just so I can parse some information. We'll get back to that here in just a minute. I'm not too worried about that. I'm happy with that performance. The click rate, you can see below where we were the last campaign. So that tells me that the call to action that I put out on this campaign versus the previous one was not as strong because the names were the same, right? In fact, there were more names here, but the call to action or the offer, you know, I didn't get that click-through rate because I didn't get that hook in them. Maybe it was the subject line. I didn't A/B split this, which I'll probably do now that I got some more data. I'm really starting to get the ground under me here because this is a list that hasn't been marketed in the last 3 to 5 years, right? So I'm actually using names from 2017, which who knows if those names are even viable or not. And we can actually look at that here in a minute. So I understand what happened there. That's good. Now the unsubscribes, when I get here, I look at this and I say, okay, it's lower than my last campaigns, which makes sense because the last one was the first one for many moons. So I expect this to be cleaner, but it's still happening at the same rate, but yet it's still way higher than industry average. And I know the reason why. The reason why is because this list is not clean. And if the list was clean and scrubbed, that unsubscribed list should be a little better, okay? So that's how you would read that data, and that's what you would look for there. As I scroll down, I see the click, the open rate, the bounce rates, and the unsubscribes. And I'll come down here and see successful deliveries, 94.5%. So I know that those names, more or less, are pretty strong. We have a total clicks of 13. We see the last click at 12/9 at 8:47. So the next day, and we look at the 24-hour performance, and we can see the performance here of how it trails. Normally, it lasts 24 to 48 hours. And then I can see where they went. They all went to that page, which is great because this is the page that I wanted them to go to. So, but nothing converted. I can tell you, knowing the sales didn't happen there. So that tells me that these 13 people went to the page that we sent them to, but it wasn't strong enough to convert them. So that's sort of where I need to fix, right? That's important. So that's that information there. Now, let's go back to the top for a minute. And when I look at this activity, I can go here and see how that activity is broken down. So I can see who it's sent to, who opened them, who didn't open them, who clicked, and what bounced. So let's take a look at bounced for a second. Now, bounce means, obviously, it's something that didn't work, right? It bounced back. So we have what we call soft bounces and hard bounces. So soft bounces are temporarily or at the moment, they couldn't connect for whatever reason. A hard bounce is actually, just it doesn't exist anymore. So basically, hard bounces are taken out of the system because we know that email is not effective any longer. The soft bounces they stay in the system, and you can audit them out and just take them out manually if you like. And they'll go out again. Now, if it comes back a second time with a soft bounce, that probably means it's permanent. So it moves to hard bounce. So you can see that we had a bounce rate of 5.5%. So these 9 come out, these 32, I have to clear up and see what happened there. Now, if I scroll down, I can see the bounce type here and what happened. And I can come in here and make some updates if I wanted to. So that's how you would take a look at those bounces. Now, this is important because you want to scrub your list. You always want to have a good, healthy list because that's going to generate conversion for you and it will convert sales. So, okay. So let's look at one other thing, activity. Unsubscribe, that's another important thing. And if I click on that, we see we had 2, we had 8 in this particular list that unsubscribed, 2 no longer interested, 6 unspecified. So that's expected because we are cleaning the list. So the unsubscribes come off and now it gets cleaner, which is great, right? So as you build your list, you should expect that. You should expect 1, 2, 3, 4% unsubscribes as you develop your list. That's why it's important to get new subscribers in here because people will drop off or leave or whatever it may be, right? That's important. So let's make sure you're managing a healthy list and you're looking at your unsubscribes too. And we take some information of why did they decide not to subscribe anymore, no longer interested, and these just unspecified. So that's fine. They come off the list. And then the last section in activity are those complaints that we may get. No complaints here. That's perfect. A complaint basically is someone that says, hey, this company's spamming me. I didn't authorize them to email me, things of that nature. That should be low. This should always be way below 1%. Now that's, of course, if you have a healthy, legitimate opt-in list, right? If you just get any type of list and you put any type of list in here, you'll see that number go off the charts. And if that happens, Mailchimp will just cancel your account. I mean, they won't even mess around with you. So, and then you can move to another email service provider and they'll do the same thing because they don't want to do this. That's not the business that they're in. They're in the business of marketing to legitimate email addresses. And it's your responsibility as the marketer to have that. So if you had abuse complaints, and there was 1 or 2 on a past campaign that we did because, like I said, these names are 4 or 5 years old. And even though they opted in, maybe they felt like they didn't. And sometimes that happens, right? Rather than unsubscribe, someone will just say, hey, this is spam. And then that gets reported up to your service provider. And then your service provider, contacts Mailchimp, or it's all done electronically, of course, and that gets focused there. So those are really the things that you need to look at when you talk about your reporting, okay? Let's go ahead and let's sort of set something up for another campaign. Why don't we go ahead and start that? So to start a new campaign, I'm going to come in here and just hit create. And once I open create, you see I have an email, a customer journey. If you remember, that's that funnel that we were talking about, an email template. So we can actually build a template that we use over and over and over again. We can create different channel designs. That's something a little more sophisticated. We won't cover that. Here's your landing page that I talked about. Now you can build surveys, which is great because you can get the pulse of your audience, the pulse of your customer, an ad, which can help you target where you need to go. So that's pretty cool. You can build a social post. I don't use this for social posting, but it's a nice feature that they offer. You could get a sign-up form. That's sort of a pop-up that you can put on your website. You can add new contacts through a spreadsheet, and then, of course, your images and postcards. So let's go back to just create, and let's start creating an email. So let's start a new campaign, and let's call this, I'm going to call this just new offer here, right? and then just go ahead and begin the new offer. That's my name. So then the campaign will come up, and you can see when it comes up, it'll have your email list, your audiences already plugged in. Now you can come in here and edit your audience and your recipients. So all I need to do right now, this is the whole list. Let's say I want to focus in on a special item, or if I have my email list segmented the way I mentioned that you should, right? Let's say in this particular case, it's a food company, and I happen to know the group that buys olive oils, let's say, right? It's an Italian food company that sells olive oils. So I have that group. Then I have another group that buys pasta. Okay, now they can both buy the same thing. They could both, you buy olive oil, you might buy pasta too. But let's say I wanted to focus in on that. I can segment it down that way if I have that sorted in my list. So to do that, I would go into my edit recipients, and here it brings up my entire audience, okay? And you see if this is the whole audience. And now I have my segments here. So when I uploaded the list, based on the year they became a customer, or at least they're on record as being a customer in the system, right? And they opted in. So you can see I broke it down by year, 2020, 19, 18, and 17. So let's say I wanted to create an offer for a customer from 2017. And I want to do something like, hey, we haven't seen you in a few years. How's the kids? You know, something like that. Do you guys want to celebrate with a spaghetti dinner? Let's, just thinking out loud, maybe we do a campaign like that. So I'll come in and I'll do 2017. And now I'll go ahead and save that. Personalize the to field. That basically, if you click that, it's going to take the name that you put. So in this case, if you have it in the file as a first name or a last name, so for instance, Bob Smith, you could click that here. You could pick first name or last name. So let's say I have first names, which I know I do. I'll just hit first name, so the email will be to Bob, right? That type of thing. And it becomes a little more personal that way. So now I'll save that. So now we know the email campaign that we're putting out. Let's see. That file name was not right. So let me resolve that. What's going on here? Let's undo that one. It was the 17 list. We didn't have they didn't have names there. So we'll just do it we'll do it that way. This way, there's no problems there. Why is that coming in? My audience is not taking. What's going on here? All right, a little technical difficulty. Let's resolve that. That's strange. Let's go to 18 then. Okay. Okay, well, 17 is not, I guess 17 is not there. It must not be there. That's strange. I'll have to go back and check that. Okay, so we'll work with the 18 list, and here are the recipients. You see that they have there. If I go back and I edit now, here I can go into again and do a first name tag. I should have that this time. Let's save it. And then we're good to go. See that? That's the way it should work. Okay, perfect. I'll have to go back and make a note to check 17 here. That's something I didn't realize. Okay, so here's the from. We can edit that if you like. It automatically will put the name in here that you have the account attached to. And now we can add a subject. So let's add a subject. Now remember, we practice writing email subject lines, and you want to try to be catchy or something like that. So we can say, hey, it's been 3 years. Oops, I got to spell that right. let's get to know each other again, something like that. That might be too long. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I'll hold it there just as a placeholder. And then we put a preview text here as well. So come back to wholesale Italian food, food.com, and we'll give you a free pasta dinner. Or maybe, I don't know if I like that just yet. I want to keep thinking about that. Maybe come join us for a free pasta dinner. Something like that. I might reword that. So that's the idea. This is the preview text. That's the preview text that people would see before they open the email. And here's the subject line. I normally, when I think it through, you see this is probably too long. So I'm going to just hold it right now and come back to that before I send it out. But I'll save it because it's a thought process. And now I'll come back and I'll design my email. So to design the email, it's pretty simple. You just click on design email and it'll give you some options to choose email templates. Now, this is a free account. So the free accounts are great, but they don't allow you to have all the templates, right? You can actually look at layouts, or you can look at themes, or as I mentioned to you earlier, you can create a theme and save it. So in this particular case, let's do, let's get a free one here. Are these all free? I believe they are. This one you have to upgrade. So let's go back to, let's see, I'm trying to think about what I can do here. Let's go back to that. We pick the template. And now the template would open up. And once it opens up, you can see it's pretty easy to change. So let's say I go in here. This is an image. So I can replace that by hitting replace. It'll open up to the images that we have here already. And in this case, I want to put the logo, and I'll just insert the logo there. So that'll be there. And then if there's a link, there would be, and the link would be to the website. So it's important to make sure that you have all your links set up before you plan out the email. So this is the store. So what I want to do here is come back and make sure that I take that image and add a link to it, which is right here. And advanced options, I want to make sure always that it opens in a new window, because I want them to come out and go to a new, I want some action happening. Okay. So now I'll insert that. So now that has a link to the website. All right, good. Let's save and close this. And now we go to the main image here. Now I like that, but I may not be able to use it. Let's see if I can. If I don't have the proper image, it's not going to come out well. So let's go in here and see if I can replace it. Maybe I'll use, let's use that image. Okay. Yeah, it looks all right. So a nice strong image there, right? To outline that. And again, in this particular case, it's an actual product. So I want to make sure I go to my website, I go to the product, and have that link ready to go. So I'll make sure I go to the product. Let's go to the link. And now I'll grab that link and put it in that image. So now anyone who clicks on that will go to that site. Perfect. Okay. Now we want to change the bottom. Here's the bottom. So let's do in here. Come back to our family and we'll give you a free basso olive oil to celebrate. I'm not quite sure that's what I want to do yet, but I'm just fleshing out some possible ideas, okay? Now, do I want the pink background or not? Well, in this particular case, it looks like I could be stuck with it, but if you hit style, I should be able to change that background. So all I need to do here is change this color. I want to make it green. Whoops, get back here. Let's make it green. I want a darker green, perfect. And now I want to save that. Now, what do we want to do with that wording here? We want to make sure that they click on that too. So if I'm looking at connecting a word, remember I have that link to the oil. I can come in here and just hyperlink that whole section and put that link there, right? So now if they click on that, they can get to that page. Now, if I want to make sure the text is white, I'll just come in here and change that font color and make it white. You see that? And now I'll save it. So now we have the image and we have the logo and we have the title. And then over here, I'll put a special offer. And I'm not going to fill everything out because we're going to be short on time if I do, but special offer, you know, get free basso olive oil gift set with $50 purchase, something like that, right? Pretty simple. And then we'll save that. And then we'll come in here and we'll take that button and we'll put in that link here for that as well. And then we'll save in closing, okay? So that's sort of the breakdown of the building the email. You can go ahead and continue to replace these things. I don't want any of that. I'll come and just delete that. And I'll delete that. And delete that. And delete that. Okay, and shipping on or orders over $50. We'll just leave that because we do have that offer. And now we're all set. Okay, it's that simple. If you wanted to add additional images, you can just come in here and just take this block and just sort of move it there. And now you have another image and another block. And then just go in here and fill that out just like I did that top one. Okay. Now, once the email is built, and more or less it's built the way I want to, I would come in here and I can see a preview. If I click these down arrows, I'll see test email, push to mobile, open link checker, social cards, and preview mode. Let's just take a peek at it first in the preview mode. And here's the email. Here's the way it would look. Okay. I'm not crazy about that, so I'm going to come in here and play with that a little bit. But here's how the email will look on a desktop. Pretty simple. This image really maybe is not, doesn't relay the message that I want to relay, so I'll have to create a message, an image that makes sense there. And if I flip to mobile, I'll see how it looks on the handheld device. Okay, remember, that's important. I think more important than desktop because most people will look at their email on their handheld. So you want to make sure this looks better than even on your desktop, right? And then you can also click an inbox preview up. That actually you need an upgrade too. Okay. So that's sort of the information there. So let's get out of the preview mode. And now let's say we want to have a test email. To set up a test email, and you want to get this before you send it out to someone, you just come in here and set up a test email, and you see I already have it set up for me at the company and me at myself. And I go ahead and hit send test. And it'll take a minute. And I'll send that email. Perfect. And we'll take a peek at that here in just a second. We'll hit OK. Then the other option is to take Open Link Checker. Now this is going to open up the email and look at these links. These are those links we put in. Remember that? We put in a number of links. So you can see all these links are now good, and they're all highlighted in red. If you notice, the red is highlighting those links that we put in. And they all look right to me. And if you wanted to check it, you could just easily click on this to see how it goes. And here is the preview. It'll open up here in just a second. Perfect. That's the page I want to take them to. And now you know the links checked. Of course, I like to also check the actual email. So what I'll do is let me go into my email account and see if I could get that email out real fast. And hopefully it'll come in just a minute. See what we got here. And let's see if it's coming in. Nothing yet. And there it is there, okay? And there's the test email. And we'll go ahead and download the pictures just so I can see what it looks like. And okay, that's what it looks like in my inbox, good. And normally what I'll do is I'll open it up and I'll check the link. I'll just click on a link to make sure it goes to the page, and it does. And I'll check that before I do anything, right? So now I've gone ahead and I checked it. It looks good. I double check it. In my opinion, the next step is really to save it and not send it out, because you want to think about it a little bit. So this is a process. You shouldn't just make it and then send it out, because more than likely you want to change stuff after you send it out. That always happens. So you want to try to give it some brain time to think about it, right? And then once you're there and you're comfortable, you could just go ahead and hit continue, and then it'll take you to the next step of, okay, are you ready to send it out? And you see everything is here. It's all ready to go. I could also add it to social, and all I need to do to send it is hit send. I could schedule it for another day, or I can finish it later. In this case, I want to finish it later and come back, and then we'll send it when it's all done. Okay, and you can see it now. It's sitting in my campaign ready to be adjusted. You could see, listen, it takes a little practice. And the way you could practice this is put your own name in, and I'll show you how to do that real fast for another minute here. When you go into your audience, you can go in and just add to your contacts. Here's your contacts here. I'll go to all contacts. And if you want, just go in here and add a subscriber. Just add contacts, add a subscriber, and put a test email in here for you. You know, so let's say, okay, let's use my info at company, and I can just send an email to that, not only a test email, but I can go ahead and practice with that and send it out, and just get into the habit of making this and sending it out. And remember, the best part about this is looking at the data and looking at the results, and then seeing what you did or didn't do right, and then trying to make it better. Every single time you try to make it better, okay?